So hi everyone, good evening. On behalf of the entire team at HitBullseye, I would like to extend the warmest of welcomes to Meghna, to Niraalii, and also to Tejas from the team of TISS. They're here to tell us a lot of things about TISS today, how the exam is being conducted, what all are the nitty-gritties which you should all keep in mind, and all the other details. Make sure that you're asking them your questions. I mean, the questions that you've been asking us for the long duration. But since the team is right here today, so it will be great to hear it from the horse's mouth directly. So over to you, Niraalii. I think you can continue from here.
Thank you, Meghna. Good evening, everyone. Lovely to have you all here today with us. Great to know that you're excited about this. I'll give you a brief introduction of who we are. We are basically part of the TISS family already. We're grateful for that. I'm Niraalii. There is my classmate Tejas, and then we have our alum, the star of the night, Miss Meghna Menon. She is an alum, and we'll all go one by one introducing ourselves. So Meghna, why don't you go first?
Thank you so much, Niraalii. Hi everyone, I'm Meghna Menon. I graduated from TISS in 2015, so it's been a while. And I'm right now the HR business partner at HUL. Prior to this, for about 6.5 years, I was with Nestle, and I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you, Meghna. Tejas, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tejas, and currently I am pursuing HRM course from TISS from 23 batch, and I am a mechanical engineering graduate. That's it.
Thank you so much. Coming to me, I'm Niraalii. I belong to the city of Delhi. I'm a literature graduate from Hansraj College, Delhi University. Post that, I decided to prepare for some competitive exams for a couple of years. And then I decided to change tracks and decided to go for HR. And this is the best at it. And therefore, here am I. I'm a part of the batch of 23 and also a member of the Aspirants Relationship Committee here. Glad to have you all here. Meghna, could you please share the PPT? So as you know, the initiative that we are here for today is called Chat with Tissians, for the very fact that you'd be chatting with Tissians, and we basically try to communicate what this is about and how to prepare for the exam. And as the exam is approaching near us, what could we keep in mind as we move forward? Next slide, please. So what is TISS? TISS has a rich legacy. It was established as an institute of social sciences even before independence of India as Sir Dorabji Tata Graduate School of Social Work. It's located across 4 cities. It has 4 campuses in Mumbai, in Tuljapur, Guwahati, and Hyderabad. And it has 111 courses. Imagine the breadth of courses that it offers. However, the flagship course that TISS is known for among management aspirants is the HRM and LR course, which is available at the Mumbai campus of the institute. So about the facilities that we offer, again, as MBA students are supposedly very determined to study all the time. They have to sit for long hours with their books. What comes to our rescue, that is the Sir Dorabji Tata Memorial Library, which is associated with one of the best-in-class facilities and resources. And because of all this, we've been rated AAA with a score of 3.89 out of 4 by NAC in 2016. Next slide, please. So coming to the program in particular, we are from the program of Human Resource Management and Labor Relations. This program is the flagship course among management students, aspirants from the TISS, the University of TISS. And what we aim for is basically producing business leaders with a hint of social sensitivity. Now, this is something which is not seen at any other management institute. And I think this is a great reason why our alumni community, which is so widespread, it basically leaves a mark of its own wherever they go. Next slide, please. So we'll be talking about the USPs TISS offers to you as students, why you should choose TISS over any other institute that you might be considering right now. So the main focus of the institute is hands-on learning, which is shown through various other initiatives or facilities that we offer. The first one that we want to talk about is the foundation course. The foundation course helps the students, grooms them with social sensitivity aspect that we just talked about. Basically, students get to learn a lot about gender, caste, poverty, health, basically all the social issues that a well-educated graduate, postgraduate should be aware of. And it also helps us in being groomed as a more holistic HR leader when we go out in the industry and serve our organization. Uh, it also is associated with the interdisciplinary exposure that Meghna maybe could tell us a bit about. How was your experience in foundation course?
Sure. And Niraalii, I mean, I'm really transported back to my time in the college when you speak about this. So yeah, I mean, to what you said, I think this is one of those institutes which is really at the cusp of both a post-graduation in social sciences as well as a full-fledged management degree, right? So courses like these really add to that flavor of social sciences. So your foundation course is a course that you do with every other first year student in TISS. So you all sit in a giant auditorium, a beautiful one at that. And these lecture series are conducted. And it really helps you develop your worldview about things. So you learn about governance, you learn about politics, you learn about the caste system, you have lessons in sociology, and all of this helps you understand your society a little better, and of course helps you develop your worldview a little better. And the best part is, of course, you also get to interact with people from other courses in a very structured way. You get to hear different points of view. So it's a wonderful way to sort of start your journey in TISS, and it's definitely one of those courses that help you more on the social sciences aspect that we spoke about a couple of slides ago.
That's right. And the social aspect is also continued towards the end of the course, where we get to see rural immersion program and the NGO stint that basically immerses a student in the very experience that they studied about a couple of months back, maybe a couple of semesters back. So do you have any particular stories to share about your NGO stint?
Yeah. So in fact, again, a big highlight. I was a fresher. I'm sure a lot of people who join TISS are also freshers. And even if you have work experience, you will never get the breadth of work experience in the span of 2 years that you get in TISS, right? Because even these field works that you see on the slide, there's a conscious effort that's made to make sure that you actually get to be part of companies in different sectors. So drawing from my experience, I was working with Raymond, which is in the apparel section, worked with EY, Johnson & Johnson Pharma, worked with Citibank, and then Azim Premji Institute for the NGO stint. So typically what would normally take people about 6 job changes to get this width of experience, here you get all in the span of 2 years, along with your degree at the end of it. And the NGO stint really helps you apply the principles that you learned in HR and helps you structure them in a different environment. So it's really a very gratifying experience.
Thank you, Meghna. That surely sums it up. You also talked about the fieldwork experiences. So basically, a fieldwork is something that sets this apart from any other management school here in India. So we have basically five internship experiences specifically in the field of HR, and those are 4 fieldwork internships and 1 summer internship, which is very different and a unique opportunity, not only because it gives you a lot more coverage on ground, but also because it also gives you a very diverse coverage. So, for example, if in one semester you're going for a BFSI sector company. In the other, you might be going to for a management consulting company or an FMCG company, right? So the whole organizational structure and their working, everything changes, and you get to see all that. Apart from all this, you also get additional opportunities to convert an offer. So you don't get an opportunity to convert only in summers, but also in fieldworks. We call that fieldwork offers. So basically, that increases the scope a lot, and compared and add to that the small batch size. That's a huge opportunity for you to grab those PPOs and FPOs, right? Uh, Finally, we come to dissertation. Dissertation is also something which is very specific because of our focus on research as a pedagogy. So we, as an institute, provide students the means and methods to engage in research opportunities, and dissertation is the final product of such competencies that are developed in our students here. Coming to international exchange, TISS has uh, TISS has bonds with universities abroad and vice versa. So people here get the chance to study outside abroad, and vice versa. So the cultural mix not only is something that is limited to the various campuses, which in themselves, of course, are very diverse compared to any other management school you might go to. It also reflects in the international exchange program. And for this, we have a dedicated Office of International Affairs at TISS to help you get into these exchange programs. Next slide, please. Finally, coming to something that every B school student looks forward to, case competitions. So opportunities are limitless at TISS because it is one of the most aspired colleges, not only among aspirants, but also it's a very revered college in the industry, and therefore even opportunities which are reserved for certain flagship institutes, we get all of them. So here on the screen, you can see some of the competitions that our students have won this time around, and there are many more to come. So you can see Mintra Style Biz, you can see Asian Paints, The Conundrum, you can see HUL Nutcracker. These are premier B school case comps that our students have cracked. And mind you, with the limited seat capacity that we have, this in itself is a huge achievement. Next slide, please. So coming to final placements, so these are the placement records for 2021. However, Meghna, I think that we have another deck that I shared. Meghna.
Niraalii, probably you can move to the next slide, and the deck can be covered in the end, if that is not a problem.
Sure. That's not a problem. So we'll come around to the final placements in some while. We can move to the next slide for the time being. So coming to summer placements 2021, we have seen a huge jump in the summer placement offers that our students got this summers. The highest stipend being 3,30,300 rupees, and the median stipend was 2,40,000 rupees. Now these figures in itself are testament to the kind of demand our students have in the industry. And finally, coming to average stipend, it was 2,34,861 rupees, and the total number of recruiters which came for about 60 students were 38. The increase in median stipend was 20%. So this is a huge jump from last year. And we can, in the next slide, Meghna, we can also see the kind of placements companies that we saw. It is not just about the numbers, it is also about the quality of recruiters that come at our campus. The we can see that it is ranging from FMCGs like Unilever, Reckitt, Colgate Palmolive to Marico, and to conglomerates like Aditya Birla Group, and then to tech companies, Accenture, Google. Uh, so we can see a healthy variety of recruiters, as well as the quality of recruiters speak for themselves. We can have the next slide. Finally, coming to final placements 2022. So the final placements have been recently concluded, and we have seen 100% final placements, and that too on day 0 itself. We had 41 companies participating, and these were the highest ever figures that our campus has seen in the history of HRM and LR. The details of this will be talked about towards the end of the session as we share the other deck. We can move to the next slide. So coming to alumni, I think there's no better person to talk about alums than our alum herself. Meghna, would you like to speak a bit about this?
Sure. So one of the things that you really get when you join a college like this is really you get to be a part of the larger legacy, right? So here you get to be part and to have graduated from the same college as several CHROs across different sectors, different companies, both India as well as abroad. The likes of Adil Malia, Santrup Mishra, Deepa Chadda, and the list really goes on. I don't think we'll ever do it justice by showing this. But the big point is that when you step into a college like this, you really have access to alumni, and that really goes a long way. Most companies that you will step into, you will have a known face, at least a familiar face in those companies, because in the several years that this course has existed, you're likely to find Tissians everywhere. So that's always there. And even in terms of the breadth of work that they handle. So you'll have, these are just CHROs, and then you'll also have several people who are heading rewards and talent in different companies. So it's a very illustrious alumni that you'll be a part of, and that's a very exciting start.
Thank you, Meghna. That's true. That's true. Just having a look at the variety of alums and the variety of places they are in right now. We have people ranging from Adil Malia, who's the CEO of the firm, and that's a recent trend that has happened, right, Meghna? HR leaders shifting to positions, leadership positions. HR leaders actually getting a seat at the table, as people say. So, and our alums have been at the forefront of it. So we have various CHROs. We have the CHRO of Vodafone India. We have CHROs of Star Cement. Next slide, please. Right. So recently, even we had the CHRO of Asian Paints take over, and Miss Savita, who is also an alum, and so the list goes on, and there are many more to come. The alumni base, of course, adds the strength to the course because of the very fact that alums give us the necessary mentorship and the guidance that we need to develop, that we need to develop into full-fledged HR professionals at the top of our games. We can move to the next slide. So, life at TISS, Meghna, I believe that your eyes would be all rosily tinted right now. Please go ahead and enlighten us what life at TISS was like in an offline setup. And then we could, Tejas maybe would like to talk about how it is in an online one.
Great. I mean, I really hope that, for the next batch that comes in, you definitely have the sort of in-person experience, because the beauty of the campus, the beauty of being part of this amazing 2-year course is a lot in the interactions and the friends that you will make. So life at TISS, honestly, it's a super immersive experience. For some of you, it'll be the first time that you're stepping out of the comfort of your house and you're living alone, and you'll get to experience what that's like. For some of you who are already working and who will make this big shift back to university. It's going to be very different, going back to coursework and assignments and deadlines. But for everyone, the best part is that it's a tightly knit gang. It's about 60 odd students. You have very, very warm and friendly faculty. And you have several things to look forward to. These could be the committees that you're a part of. It could be a placement committee, an alumni committee, a cultural committee, etc. And you have, you have that entire facet to explore. You have, of course, a lot of senior junior interactions. You have treks to look forward to. You have freshers parties and placement parties. There's no dearth of parties that will happen in Sindhi society. And of course, you have a very rigorous course. You'll have several internships. In fact, you'll have about 5 or 6 of these internships through the course of your 2 years. You'll have several late nights and all-nighters that you'll pull to study for exams, to work on case study competitions, to submit assignments, because who knew submitting assignments at 12 o'clock, it'll become a new norm. So it's really going to be a very rich experience. You're not going to have a moment to breathe. You'll always have more to do than you'll have time to do. But these are 2 fantastic years that you'll always look forward to, and you look back with fond memories. And more than anything, I think you'll make friends for life. Some of my closest friends are the friends that I made when I was in TISS. And I think that's true for almost every other person I meet as well. So you'll take back some fantastic memories. And of course, you'll be part of a great legacy. So it's a very exciting time.
That's true, Meghna. Tejas, why don't you go ahead and tell the students a bit about how the online setup has been?
Yeah, hi Niraalii. So yeah, how like Meghna talked about the life at TISS. So though we are in the online medium, so we still are connected with our friends, and we still are enjoying our share of the life at TISS, though we are virtually. So there are various committees in the TISS, and these committees make sure that we are always engaged, and we work as a team, we work as a batch, and we are not left out. So there are various events, like Forum Committee has started an online birthday celebration event. Then Forum Committee has started with the Diwali celebrations in the online mode. So it makes us feel as we are a part of a family. We are a part of a TISS family, and that we are not alone in this journey. So these are some of the events which makes us work as a team. Again, we have assignment groups. We enjoy a lot during our assignment groups. We have some informal Zoom meetings, especially after the lectures, where we talk freely about what's going on in our lives. Then we also have some groups, informal groups. We chat on that groups. So in and whole, though we are separated by the though we are separated and we are not at the physical campus, but still we are getting a glimpse of the life at TISS.
Right, Tejas. That is very beautifully put. And since you talked about committees, so there are several committees at TISS. We have TISS HRM LR Forum, basically the event management committee. We have the alumni committee, who maintains strong relationships with our alumni network. Then we have the Aspirants Relations Committee, the committee who's conducting this webinar for you guys. Then we have obviously the placement committee, the star of all, who get our students placed at such stellar organizations, and the editorial committee, obviously, who makes sure that we are engaged and intellectually engaged throughout this whole process. We can move to the next slide. So in talking about industry exposure, I believe that since Meghna has seen herself the industry exposure not just at TISS, but throughout her journey from TISS in 2015 to now. So I think Meghna should be the one who should be speaking about this.
Sure. So again, one of the highlights in TISS is that your entire coursework is actually peppered with real life examples. You're not just learning about a theory that someone introduced 60 years back, but right after your theory course, the next class that you have will actually be someone from the industry, probably an alumni, who will come down and who will actually help you understand how it works out in real life. So I remember several cases where we had actually learned about this merger and acquisition, and you read about a case study around it, and then we actually had someone from the industry come and talk to us about how it all played out. How did they do this entire cultural integration when two companies came together, and they were able to really flesh it out for us in terms of how it worked. So even if you have zero experience, the course really makes it richer, so that when you go do your internships, when you then go start your sort of professional journey, you go in knowing exactly what to expect. So I think there's industry exposure, not just in terms of the conversations and some of these talks that'll happen, but of course also through your field work and some of the case studies that you'll all work on. So there's always a juxtaposition of both, which really adds value.
That's correct. It's so exciting to hear about all this. And talking about excitement, I know you guys are all excited about the recently concluded placement session for the batch of 22. So Meghna, why don't you take us to the slide which talks about the recent placements? Right. So here we are with the final placements of 2022. The placement report has recently gone live, and we have the highest CTC of a whopping 42.09 LPA, which is a 44% increase from last year. Considering the whole situation, the whole percentage increase, 44% itself is a huge number, and the highest CTC, of course, is a whopping number in itself. The average CTC for this time has been 23.97 LPA, which has again seen an increase of 22%, and the median CTC has seen an increase of 19% and stands at 22.50 LPA. The total number of recruiters our campus saw were 42 in number, and this is a huge thing that 50% of our batch was offered PPOs. So now here is the strength of the various opportunities that we talked about, not only a summer internship, but also the five fieldwork internships that you'd have, where you have the chance to convert each and every internship. So the number of PPOs offered was 50%. And we can talk about the recruiters this time. The next slide, please. So our 2022 recruiters were again stellar. We had consulting companies coming on campus with the likes of Accenture Strategy and Aon, Corn Ferry, and Infosys Consulting. We had of course, the FMCGs, Reckitt, Marico, Nestle coming in, Hindustan Unilever coming in. We had conglomerates and the likes with TAS and technology firms, of course, with Amazon and Flipkart. There was no dearth of the variety and the quality of companies coming to campus this time around as well, as always. Meghna, we can go on to the slide which talks about TISSNET this time. Right. So Tejas, now the stage is all yours. Please enlighten the aspirants about the upcoming admissions process to get to this wonderful place.
Thank you, Niraalii. Thank you, Meghna, for sharing your insights about the TISS. And I will share my strategy here to get into the prestigious institution. So first we'll start with the selection procedure. So what is the selection procedure? So the first stage is the TISSNET, which will be conducted on 26 February 2022. The stage 2 is yet to be announced, and it will be announced in a due time. But I would suggest not to focus on the stage 2 and just focus on the stage 1, as there is very little time left for the TISSNET exams. And based on your scores in the stage 1 and stage 2, there will be a final merit list and you will get through to the TISS. Next slide, please. So coming to the timeline of the events, the last day to apply is 7th Feb 2022, but I would suggest you to apply well in advance. Do not wait for the last minute to apply, as there might be some technical glitch or some server issue. So you apply well in advance. Then there will be an online pre-admission orientation program for reserve category students, which will be held on 12th and 13th Feb 2022. The next is the hall ticket. The hall ticket can be downloaded between 14 to 21 Feb 2022. Again, I would suggest you to download your hall ticket well in advance, because there might be some technical issues or there might be some server issues. So you just download it well before 21st and keep it handy. And one more suggestion which I would like to give you is that if you are new to your center, so please visit your center one day in advance, so that you don't have to rush during your D-Day for the exam, and you don't have to search for your centers, and you are calm and composed during your exams. And finally, the D-Day, the TISSNET exam, it will be conducted on 26th Feb 2022 on Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3:40 p.m. So mind it, it will be from 2 p.m. to 3:40 p.m. So next slide, please. Now we come to the last TISSNET tips for the last mile. So first we have to understand the structure. First we have to understand the game. Then only we will be able to clear the exam. So this exam consists of 100 questions and the time allocated is 100 minutes. So one question per minute. There is no negative marking in this exam, and you will get +1 marks for all the correct responses you have. This exam is divided into 3 sections. First is the English proficiency, which consists of 30 questions. The next is the maths and logical reasoning, which consists of again 30 questions. There is no as such any clear differentiation between maths and logical reasoning. Both consist of 30 questions. And finally, general knowledge or general awareness, that is of 40 questions. And they all have equal weightage. Now there is no sectional cutoff. So coming to the sectional cutoff, so there is sectional cutoff in GK for general category EWS, Kashmiri migrants, and armed forces. So it is 35%, that is 14 marks. And next is the 30% for the OBC, NC category and PWD, which comes to the 12 marks. Now there is no sectional cutoff for the SC and ST category. So there is only sectional cutoff for the category mentioned, that is 14 marks and 12 marks. Now this TISSNET exam is common for all the programs for getting into admission to the TISS. So this is a common entrance test. Now what makes the difference? So as I have already told you that GK has a lot of weightage here. So it has 40 questions. So obviously the DK becomes a differentiator. So you have to score well enough in your GK to clear the TISS exam. And also you have to mind the cutoff. You have to clear the cutoff too for being eligible for the stage 2. Now I would also suggest you to think this test as a 60-40, as it will help you in time management and target your scores. So 60 would be the English and maths logical reasoning, and 40 would be the GK. So again, you can see that the weightage of the GK is more. So you get a straight 40 marks if you score well in your GK. Now coming to the key to crack this exam, that is the revision. So revision has always been the key and will always remain the key to clear any exam. So this exam also requires a lot of revision. As you know that general awareness or GK section is having a more weightage. So, and it is also, we tend to forget more of a GK. So we have to revise and go on revising it till the exam comes, so that we are very thorough with the questions that will be asked in the exams. Now, the next tip would be that be selective about the sources and refer to maximum coverage and retention. So I would like to suggest aspirants here that you select any one source for your preparation and you stick to that source. Don't change the course don't change the source. If don't change the course, even if anyone tells you to change it, because it's your strategy and you have selected that strategy or selected that store based on your strength and weaknesses. So please, I would suggest do not change your source at any condition unless and until it is not fetching you marks. And finally, to have a very sound revision, you need to maintain a good amount of notes. And once you start making your notes, it will be very easy for your revision. And for making notes, you have to be very short and precise so that you can revise it multiple number of times. Next slide, please. So yeah, I have already talked about the GK sectional cutoff. So for open EWS, Kashmiri migrants and armed forces, it is 35%, that is 14 marks. For OBC and PWD, it's 30% or 12 marks. And for ST/SC, it's there is no sectional cutoff. So I would like to clear here that even if you score more marks in English and maths, but still you will not clear the exam if you have not scored 14 marks or 12 marks. So please mind this. Next slide, please. So coming to the general awareness part. For general awareness, it is divided into two sections. So first is your static section and the other is your current affairs sections. So for the static section, there are multiple subjects here or multiple topics like geography is there, polity is there, history is there, economics is there, environment is there. And for current affairs, you have awards, mapping, personalities in news, then you have themes. So I would like to suggest here about the general awareness is that don't study general awareness in isolation. Always try to connect it with your current affairs. And one strategy which worked very well for me was the reverse engineering. Try to always do reverse engineering. See, you pick up a topic which is already in the news or which is in the current affairs, and you try to go in the background of that topic and you connect it with your static part. And you try to learn, memorize the static part of that, so that now your static part is also covered and your current affairs part is also covered. So I would suggest this strategy work for me. So you can follow this strategy of reverse engineering. So for example, if some place is in the news, so you please look for that place and you just go to its background and you also find out all the details about that, so that you prepare the topic very holistically, so that you do not leave any part of it. And mostly the exams are mostly the questions that come are based on the current affairs, linking it with the static part. So you please have to look for the current affairs and you connect it with static parts and prepare it thoroughly and holistically. Now again, for general awareness, there is no preferred source. So again, my strategy was to stick with only one source, follow one book or online source or anything that suits you. So if you follow online videos on YouTube's and all, so you just please stick to that source and revise it multiple amount of time. And if you find that there is any good book for that, you please stick to that good book and you revise it multiple amount of time. Please don't change your source. Or you can have a combination of both the sources. You can go for one book and then you can study the same from the YouTube videos, as mostly you will be covering the current affairs and static parts holistically. So this, and again, one more point I would like to highlight is that for general awareness, please try to have a elimination strategy. This strategy worked very well for me. So you just try to have the elimination strategy, and you to create this elimination strategy, you will have to give multiple mocks. And once you give multiple mocks, you will sharpen the skill of elimination. So in the general awareness part, elimination is very easy. So if you feel that this strategy works for you, you can go ahead with it. Next slide, please. So coming to the English proficiency part. So this can be divided in English proficiency. It's of 30 marks. So my strategy here was, I was good at RC. So I had already practiced reading comprehensions and I prepared it very thoroughly. I did not wanted to lose any marks on the RC. So I just prepared it and I just kept it aside. Then there are multiple topics in the English proficiency, which are very easy to solve and which can fetch you good marks. So you please identify that portions from the previous year papers and you can you can try to solve them and gain an insights like how this pattern is coming, and you can follow that pattern. For English proficiency, you can refer one word substitution, antonym, synonyms, active passive voice, then para jumbled. So these are very easy, very easy to score, and it will be having you miss less efforts and maximum marks. So you just take out the previous 5 years paper, and you observe the section of English proficiency, and you see the areas that has been recurring in the exam, and you try to prepare that section holistically. Next slide. Coming to the mathematics and logical reasoning, again this section is very much troubling the aspirants. So I would also share my strategy here. So first of all, I would like to tell you that the maths level or the logical reasoning level is one notch below the CAT exams. So do not be fearful of this section. Though you will not be able to, though if you are not good at it, then you can at least have some strategy for this section, and at least you try to score, try to maximize your marks in English and GK, and gain minimum marks here so that you clear the exam. For the maths and logical reasoning, what I did was, and it worked for me, was the again reverse engineering. So and reverse engineering and the previous year papers. So previous year, you find out the previous year papers of 5 years. You see the areas which are having more weightage or which are in recurring in the nature, and you try to analyze those parts, and you just stick to that part. There are a lot of topics in the mathematics and logical reasoning which are not asked in the exams, or which are not that important, but students tend to focus more time on that section. So I would suggest to have a look at the previous year's papers and gain an insight about which sections are having more weightage, or which sections you are comfortable with, or where your strength lies. So you target that sections and practice it repeatedly. And again, here the difference can be the mocks. You should try to solve multiple mocks for maths and logical reasoning, so that you sharpen your elimination skills. Next slide, please. So the general tips for the exam. So the general tips, what I would like to share is that this worked for me. It comes with a caveat. So it worked for me. It may or may not work for you, but nevertheless, I will share it with you. So the first and foremost I did was the previous year papers. So you you just get hold on the previous year papers, and you find the areas which are coming frequently in the exam, and you just jot down that areas and try to focus more on that areas. The next is solve as much as mocks possible. This mocks will not only help you to sharpen your elimination skills, but it will also help you to remove your fear during your D-Day exam. So please try to give as much mocks possible. Now the time is less, so you can plan accordingly, and you can give the mocks. The third is again, stick to only one source, and don't change your strategy as it is as the exam is near, and you will find on multiple groups that this is the new material, you read this, you read that. Please don't do that. Just stick to your strategy and stick to your source, and just revise it. Just revise that multiple times. The fourth is the revision. I already have emphasized on the revision and why it's important. Then the next is focus more on your strength and secure marks in them. Don't go on the areas that are weak. I also focused more on the areas which were my strength. I also focused on the areas which were my strength, and in the weak areas, I would just have a glance, and I just went to the exam. As I knew that my areas, my strong areas were GK and English, and I had a decent practice for the maths, so I focused more on GK and English. Now again, by solving your mocks, you will be sharpening your elimination skills, and this elimination skill will be very handy to you in the exams. And finally will be target your strong areas. So that's it from the strategy part. Niraalii.
Thank you, Tejas. I think, Meghna, if you would like to share what you think are general tips for the exam. I know it's been quite a while since you appeared for it. However, I believe that each and everyone who writes this exam has some tidbits of wisdom after giving it once. So please go ahead.
Sure. Tejas, I think you did a great job covering, what overall strategies will be. Just a couple of things. Really, as he said, pay attention to the GK segment. It really is the big differentiator. It's what's going to set you apart and possibly get you the chance to have a shot at an interview. And while doing this, really, don't just try and mug up information, because you're never going to remember the details. So, do the reverse engineering piece that's likely to help, and really try and develop a point of view. When you read something controversial, try and think in your mind, because it's also going to help you in your interview and in some of the other rounds, how you would approach it. Is there a good to it? Is there a bad to it? Look at boon and bane for some of these, for some of this, and it really helps. The other is mock papers. Really just take as many mock papers as you can get your hands on and do them diligently within the time limit. Really try and mimic the entire ecosystem in which you will give the exam. And try to visualize yourself in that environment and give those exams, and it really will help you on the day as well. And third, try whatever works for you to reduce your nerves. Sometimes we know a lot of things, but on that day we blank. And unfortunately, you can just give this exam once. So really, whatever it is, that calms you, whether it's music, whether it's a walk, whether it's watching something, try and figure out what that is for you, so that a day prior to the exam, you really don't psych yourself out and you get yourself super relaxed, so that you're the best version of yourself on the day. So that's just a little bit from my side.
That's aptly put, Meghna. A bit that I would not want to add in what Tejas and Meghna have already spoken about, talking about the whole strategy, not just in general awareness specifically, not just reverse engineering helps, revising those notes that you make while after you've reverse engineered special topics that you believe are your strengths, and some topics you believe your weakness, but they do have a chance of coming in the exam. Do make up some mnemonics around them. So maybe you could chart them out on a piece of paper. Maybe you could make a jingle out of them in your head. So these are the things that will help you remember these facts very clearly. About sources, do stick to a single source. Do not, as the time is very crucial right now. It is 4th of Feb today, and we have the exam on 26th. It is a high situation, a high pressure game right now. Focus on a single source and only cherry pick those parts which are relevant to you right now, either your strength or the weakness area, which is important for the exam. So that is all from my side from in the general tips for the exam. We now come to Q&A section of the whole presentation. We can move to the next slide, Meghna. Right. So about before we go on to Q&A, here is something that we need to share. So we have presence across social media platforms, but here is one social media platform that we recently joined. It is the Telegram group. And how it is useful? It is useful as a repository of all materials that we release for your help. We know that the time is very crucial for you right now. You have a crunch in front of you. So that is why we've released the compilation of Quiztopia initiative, which is basically MCQs, which we have designed ourselves according to the LOD, level of difficulty of the TISSNET exam. You can go ahead, go on to the Telegram group and download this compilation and let us know if you find it useful, and let us know your feedback. But by all means, use it and go ahead with your preparation. Now coming to the Q&A section, Meghna, there is a question that some people are worried about their profiles when it comes to final selection at this. There are some people who are saying that their college wasn't the best or their grades weren't the best. So what do you have to say about that?
So I mean, first of all, relax, because I think that this is one of those colleges that, I mean, it's a great equalizer, right? When you finish your exam, when you finish your TISSNet, you have your essay, you then have your interview, etc. All of those are real equalizers. If you've made it past those levels, it means that you are a candidate worth considering. Don't worry about your profile at all. You really just should focus on setting yourself apart at the interview stage. Going into the interview, it doesn't matter if you think you have a very generic sort of cookie cutter profile. Really try and reflect on things that you've done in the past, and look at what are one or two things that you've done that have really set you apart. And we all have it. So don't give up too soon. Reflect on what that was. What was a big project that you led in the company? If you've had work experience, what's that big project that you led? How did you go about leading it? What are some of the metrics that you can talk about in that role? If you are a fresher, have you been part of any clubs? Were you part of the student council? Were you head girl, head boy, any of that in your previous school? Were there hobbies you picked up? Were there certain clubs you started? Were you a debater? Were you a dancer? Were you a basketball player? I mean, what were all of those things that really made you you? So really try and just reflect on some of your big highlights in your life, and that's all you need. Don't worry about your profile not being a certain way.
Right, Meghna. Could you also talk a little bit about your journey after this? I believe aspirants must be curious about, since you are here with us, they'd be curious about your journey after this.
Sure. So as I said, I graduated TISS in 2015. And I was very excited because I got into Nestle from campus. And I don't know how many of you recall, but 2015 was also the year of the Maggie crisis. So 5 days after the Maggie crisis broke out, I stepped foot into the Maggie factory in a place called Nanjangud, which is a little far off from Mysore. And that's how I started my journey. It was 6 months at the factory. It was insane because it was also the time that, Nestle was in the news with Maggie and the revival of Maggie and all of it. So spent 6 months there. Then, as part of the entire management trainee stint, went to Gurgaon, where I spent some time working on sales as well as supply chain and finance, HR. And then, after a year of all of these stints, did my first role in talent based out of Gurgaon. So I did that for about 2 years. After 2 years there, I actually went to the Nestle headquarters in Switzerland, and I supported Asia, Oceania, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So I worked on projects around youth, around gender balance. Did that for about 2 years in a very pretty town called Vevey, which had all of 19,000 people. It was a fantastic experience. So did that. March of 2020, COVID hit, came back, but this time came back into the role of branch HR for the North. So first wave had just hit. North branch was catering to about 10 states and union territories. So the likes of Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, you name it. So supporting that, did that role for about 15 months, very exciting. And then about 7 months back, stepped into HUL, moved to Bombay. And now I am the HR business partner for the beauty and personal care division. And I'm also the program manager for the flagship management trainee program, which is the UFLP program there. So that's a little bit about me.
That's quite a journey from across geographies and across roles. I believe that must have been really enriching. So I guess it does paint a picture for the aspirants as well, that what kind of an illustrative career you can look ahead to after you aspire to and crack TISSNet. So all my best wishes, and I believe this feeling is shared by my co-panelists here. All our best wishes for the upcoming exam. And I believe this is all from our side today at Chat with TISSNET. It's a concluding webinar. It was really fun to have you all here and to answer your queries. And we'll see you next time with more aspirant-centric and TISSNET-centric initiatives. Until then, take care.
Hi everyone, Niraalii, Meghna, Tejas, amazing session by all of you. I'm deeply thankful to each one of you and all the other participants for asking so many insightful questions that I've heard, not just them, but a lot of other people. So yes, of course, 26 is gonna be a big day, and let us see how the TISSNET for the students go. But I'm very much sure on the fact that the tips that all of you have shared and their efforts are gonna take them way ahead. Congratulations to all the participants who were there with us, thankfully, and I hope all your questions were answered. In case not, you still have an opportunity. Please drop down your questions in the chat box. We will try and get them answered by either Niraalii, Meghna, Tejas. We're gonna seek your help a little more on that note. And also to all the students who are still juggling with their preparation, you can definitely visit mba.HitBullseye. You can definitely find in the Testnet course under the courses, and we have a batch which is starting on the 14th of February. The other details you can definitely find there. Please go through the patterns, please go through the mock questions as mentioned by all three of them, and I hope you all have a wonderful test ahead. This is from us and also the TISS team right here. So all the very best to each and everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Meghna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and all the best for to the aspirants.
All the very best, and stay tuned to our social media handles, especially the Telegram group.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.